Your story is waiting for you today. Your story has something new to say. But your story will only come out to play when you're alone. Alone. Alone in a room with invisible people.
The following episode may contain swearing. Alone in a Room with Invisible People is brought to you by hollyswritingclasses.com. If you find value in what we do and you'd like to support the podcast, go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/alone, or you can go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com/support us to find out more. Thank you. Hi, I'm Rebecca Galardo, the host of Alone in a Room with Invisible People. I'm here today with author and teacher Holly Lisle, and today we are actually going to get right into the topic, which is, I don't know what the title is at the moment for the podcast that's going to go out, but the worksheet is 1 year of winning at writing.
Yes.
And just to kind of, when you are listening to this, we are pre-Christmas at this point even, but we are releasing this on Tuesday, December the 31st. If you're lucky enough to have time to listen to this on Tuesday, then you can do the work as Holly has created this worksheet. It's free. It's downloadable from our website. You don't have to even give us an email. I really know I wanted to do something big, but Holly made this bigger. Holly made this not just about goal setting, but really, really huge. And if you're lucky enough to be listening to this on the 31st, pause it now. Go get a notebook if you can't print these out. If you can, that's great. Print them out. I did. And I will be doing this live with you guys. So Holly, explain what you created, this thing that is so much more huge than I thought.
Okay, well, people do New Year's resolutions, and I did New Year's resolutions, and my experience with them was that I failed at every single one I set except for one. The one I succeeded at was writing a novel before I turned 25, which I set when I was 24 on New Year's Eve. And I discovered years later that I succeeded at that one because it wasn't a real New Year's resolution. And there is
like I said, it wasn't
for me.
It wasn't
for me.
Yeah.
Yes, it was not like all the other resolutions that I did. So what I need to do now is kind of explain here my history of New Year's resolutions, which was this year I'm going to lose 20 pounds. This year I'm going to lose 25 pounds. This year, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. This year, I'm going to lose 75 pounds. And if you listen to the progression there over a period of years, you can kind of tell that shit isn't working out for me because I am continuing to gain weight. And my process for dealing with that resolution was New Year's Day. I would eat 1,200 calories and exercise for 2 hours. And for 2 weeks after that, I would eat 1,200 calories and exercise for 12 hours, and then I would fucking fail. And I would fail hard, and my body, because I had done that 2-week starvation thing, was in worse shape than it was before, and I added extra pounds. And it was this progression so that at the point where I was at my heaviest, I was, best guess, 250 pounds. I had high blood pressure. I had diabetes, adult onset diabetes. I had a parathyroid tumor that I didn't know about. I was developing tongue cancer that I wouldn't know about for a number of years. I had horrible esophageal reflux. I had to lie down with my head on several pillows. And we discovered all of this shit when we had no health care, when we had no money, when we were just barely scraping by. So I found something that did work. And I found that having a process, having steps that you can follow, having achievable small goals that lead to a bigger goal was the only way that got me through that. And right now I weigh about 130 pounds and I'm in good health. It has taken me a shitload of years to do this. It was not a fast process. It took me about 10 years slowly to lose the weight. But it's gone, and I don't have any trouble. I don't have any of that crap anymore. My blood pressure's good. I don't have diabetes, adult onset diabetes. I don't have reflux. I don't have anything.
Unless you eat wrong.
Yeah, I am down half a tongue because I did have to have surgery to cut out the dysplasia and that the one cancerous tumor. So I, I need to not ever go back to what I did before, but I am okay. And it was a long road, but it wasn't. Once I got this shit down, it wasn't a hard road.
I've had the opposite experience with a lot of my New Year's resolutions, and I know that some people out there are like me. So we're kind of covering two completely different type of people here. Holly hates even the term like New Year's resolution. And I don't. I've always been one of those people that think that, whatever it takes, if a new year and a new start on some goal is what motivates you and keeps you going, then that's great. There's a lot of people out there that want to see others fail. So you see a lot of anti-New Year hate. And I just wanted to point out that's not what this is.
No.
That's not at all what this is. And I am a big, huge person when it comes to hey, if that's what it takes to get you focused, if that's what it takes to help you jumpstart something, then hell yeah, I do New Year's resolutions every year. And I usually succeed at 1, 2, or 3. My problem, and this is something that Holly goes over in these worksheets, is that the ones that I didn't exceed at were because I didn't set achievable goals. The reasons that I succeeded at the other New Year's resolutions, which I still use that term, is because Holly and Matt listened to Tony Robbins at one point in their lives when they were changing their diet. And this is pre her having adult onset diabetes and stuff like that. And Mark and I were also given the tapes to listen to. And there are certain things that really stuck about what Tony Robbins was talking about. And one of those things is knowing your why. And this is something that every person, it kind of comes around every few years. It becomes a big trend again. And it's not a new concept, but knowing and understanding why I wanted certain things helped me to achieve those goals, also with the idea that those are achievable goals. Other things I didn't have a solid why, I didn't have a solid motivation for, and I didn't create these kind of steps that would break this big non-achievable goal down. I just wrote something very blanket and it didn't get done.
Yeah. So what we are going to do, and this is going to sound a little crazy, we have put together a process where we are going to support you guys for an entire year in the forum as you work through your goals. We and the moderators are going to be in there. They are doing their own goals. We are doing our goals. And we want you guys to set goals that matter to you.
Yeah.
And then come on in and work through them using this process and making sure that you win at writing this year, that whatever your goal is for this year, whatever your achievable goal is this year, that you can be in there and we will help you get there, because we're going to be doing the same thing. We are setting our own goals and we are going to be doing this.
Now,
and
this process will work for things that are not writing based, but as far as the forum goes, as far as our support goes, everything like that, we're talking about writing. We're talking
because
about
we're writers.
Yeah, because this is a how to write fiction podcast. This is a fiction, how to write fiction website, hollyswritingclasses.com. That's where you would get into the forums.
And we are fiction writers.
Yes,
and that's
yes.
what we do.
So you can talk about other things, obviously, but lead with the writing goal. Stick with the writing goal as far as your main focus to any forum posts. If you also want to throw in, hey, and I also stuck to my lifestyle change, that's great.
Yeah.
We'll support you on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but just make sure that the main focus of your posts in there is the writing.
Right, because this is going to be the winning at writing thing, and now and it's it's going to be a big thing in the forums. There's going to be a lot of it going on, and I will say right now that it's a lot easier to start than it is to finish.
Yeah.
So we are very focused on helping you finish, because it's easy to set really big, really crazy goals, and then burn out. Mm-hmm. So, when you come in, Becca and I might look at your goals and say, are you sure? Are you sure you want to go that big?
Yeah. Or just say something like, well, how would you start? How would you break it down? That sort of thing.
Yeah, break it down. Break it down. Because, yes, you absolutely can write a novel in 1 year. And I did it as a demo on video in the How to Write a Novel class, 1 hour a week, and wrote a novel in nine and a half months.
Yeah, at 1 hour a week. However,
at 1 hour a week.
Yeah, like Holly says, though, is nobody writes a novel.
You just write words.
Yeah, you just write words that lead to paragraphs, scenes, chapters, etc. to the first draft.
And everybody can write words.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's get into this worksheet.
Okay. Now, there I did a bunch of intro. I did a bunch of explanation in the worksheet. We are not going to be reading that.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yes, y'all can download it, and you can take a look and read it yourself. What we are going to do right now is just start in with the worksheets. And I am starting from a very funny place here, in which I am having you choose virtues. A virtue is an action. It is a thing you do. It is how you interact with the world to create something positive. And this process that worked for me, that allowed me to do that one successful New Year's resolution that I ever made, which was write a novel in 1 year, started with virtues. In that, okay, here is my answer from the worksheet. The setup here is virtues are actions, they are not results. So what action do you choose to take? And this is what I'm going to be doing this year. These are my actual goals for this year. I will write or revise fiction 5 hours a week minimum first, before I do anything else. Why is this virtue? Why is this action a virtue for you? What makes you want to do this? It makes sure I get at least 1 solid hour of new or revised story content each writing workday. It keeps me focused on creating the things I love most. It keeps me close to my worlds, characters, and stories, even on days when most of my time has to go elsewhere. It guarantees that I will finish existing projects and write new ones. It lets me start each workday happy. It makes sure I dance with the one that brought me, which is fiction, and makes fiction my mental priority. It forces me to do the things that allow me to come up with better writing techniques, better approaches, better solutions to writing problems. In other words, stuff that I can then teach you guys. And it keeps me honest. I have to stay current in writing my own fiction to teach writing fiction, because people who aren't writing fiction anymore and are still teaching writing fiction are not in the game.
Yeah.
And I have to stay in the game.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so let's break down for me in live what it is that would work. So in my head, I'm thinking I want to get Fulton Hills out there. So for me, the first thing that shows up in my mind is publish The House on Andrews Ave, publish my short story, my short story collections. And at the moment I have 2, which, and they're not finished. None of these things are finished. So
Okay.
actions for me, I guess that would be, finish the revision, which would mean that I would have to go through all the rest of the lessons. So, again, at the time we are recording this is like the 13th. Oh yeah, happy Friday the 13th.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But it's, so I am, and oddly enough, coincidentally, I am on lesson 13. So I would have to, focus and get the rest of the lessons done. So how would I put this as my actions as far as what I'm doing? Or is this something that is a more of a clear-cut goal that I've already narrowed down?
No, that's that. There are you want to complete each lesson or each remaining lesson, and find the necessary changes in the novel. Okay, so those are both virtues.
Well, and then
or
I'm doing
both-
the write-in, which is one,
Right.
and then I'm sending that out to you and Matt first.
So that's the edit,
Yeah, and so I'll edit it, and then I send it out to bug hunters.
right? So then that's the other edit. Once you get that back,
Yeah,
so then you're going to do a content edit, and then a bug hunt edit,
yeah.
and
Then
and
create the cover and the title page and the links at the end.
and the cover copy.
What is that exactly?
That's when you're saying in a world.
Oh,
Where-
yeah, the
yeah,
blurb. So
The
yeah,
blurb,
you got to
yeah.
do the blurb, and
Right.
then put all of that together and upload it to Amazon and my own site. And so then that leads me also to updating my own site. I have a list of this written down. I don't know. Yeah, I do have it with me.
Okay.
Yeah. Start writing book 2, update my website, create mailing list, get a set of Fulton Hills flash fiction out, at least one, get at least 2 of the short Fulton Hills full short stories out as
Yeah.
well. So all of these I can break down into this ginormous board. But what's neat is each step you can break down individually. So when it comes to the Fulton Hills book, we've kind of demonstrated that I would start it at finishing the lessons, and then I would look at my days. Monday through Thursday really are open. If I keep to the Monday through Friday work schedule, Saturday and Sunday off. So I would designate a certain amount of time each day to that process. So that's how I've broken it down from, I want to get my short stories published and out there. I want to get the House on Andrews Avenue published.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Right.
And the
Okay.
why this action is a virtue for me.
Right.
Because I want to write.
Okay. Your whys here are going to be your virtues for each of those actions. So just probably pick
Oh yeah, one.
one of the actions and figure out a virtue for that one.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's take a random one, not just the biggest ones or anything.
Yeah,
But
right.
let's just say the update the website.
Right.
So
Okay. So why is that a virtue?
I've been having issues with the word virtue. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel to me like the appropriate word for this, because virtue is like, it doesn't feel like an action to me.
A virtue is something that you do that brings good to the world. That is, it's not a passive thing. It's an active thing.
Okay.
Or it brings good to you.
Yeah.
But why is this action a virtue for you? Why is it bringing good to you personally?
Okay. Updating my website, it would be easier for folks to be able to find me, my writing. easier to excite folks by showing them, because the different things I want to do with my website. I want to put Fulton Hills, the world. I want that to be more accessible for folks to be able to go in and see my sketches of different characters or sketches of the little monsters that I've created, sketches of the cryptids. It's something that would bring me a lot of excitement. It's interactive. So people will see, after they read the book, they'll start to see things from what happened in that particular book.
So after we take our actions and then we say, why is this action a virtue for us? Then the next thing we do is we ask, how will taking this action and succeeding at it make your own life better? And this is, what do you get out of it? And this was the point where that one New Year's resolution that I set, that I actually kept, really came to life for me. And that was, I've done this a couple of times now. I'm getting a little stronger about doing it. That was when I was working in the ER, and those two kids came in and we coded them for over an hour apiece, and they did not make it. And their mother and father were not together, and they lost everything right then and right there. And I knew that I had to be home with my kids. So my objective in writing fiction was to be able to work full-time from home and be there for my kids so that I could protect them. That was my leverage. It was, and to succeed at a goal, you have to understand what you get out of it. And this is abso-fucking-lutely selfish. This is what you personally get out of it. And there is nothing wrong with doing things that you get something out of, because that's the only way you can survive. This is a survival tactic here. It is, how will this goal allow me to live my life better? Because until you can save yourself, you can't save the person next to you on the airplane. So this is, how do I save myself?
Yeah. And it's selfishness in a good way. And it is,
yes.
And it is important that you have something in your life that you love, that motivates you, that keeps you creative, that keeps you feeling like life is worth living. And if writing is that for you, then hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the big thing is here, I want to make sure that, just like with the goals, you have to break down the what makes my life better. It can't just be, oh, I'll earn a lot of money.
Right. So let me go ahead and I'm going to do my demonstration here, and then you can figure through from one of your goals what you're doing. First off, for me, I'll have fun. I'll get to do awful things to my characters and then get to figure out how they'll get themselves out of those messes, which is part of the joy of writing for me, is getting my characters into these god-awful situations and then having them find their own way out. I'll get to create new work, and I'm happiest when I'm creating. I'll finish books and grow my front list and back list, which may help me earn new readers and a better income, but there are no guarantees about that for any writer or for any project. You cannot guarantee that outcome. All you can guarantee is the part that gets you, the part of it that you control, which is you can grow your front list and extend your back list by creating new work. What happens after that is entirely out of your hands. I will teach myself better ways to problem solve tricky bits of fiction technique and learn in my own practice things that I can teach to fellow writers. And again, I have learned something new with every book I have written, with every story I have written. I try new things all the time. I experiment constantly. And I rarely do anything exactly the same way twice, but I modify and I expand techniques, and I learn. And everything I do, I have fun with, because it's not the same thing as the thing I did before. And finally, I'll keep the flow of story ideas coming so I can write even more books. This is beneficial because the only thing that I can do that is better than writing a book is writing a lot of books.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Okay, so I'm just going to narrow it down. I'm going to say finishing the revision on The House on Andrews Avenue.
Very nice.
That's the one I want to focus on. So how will succeeding at this action make my own life better? Well, going through the lessons, I am learning so much, not just about my process. And this is also going to help me with future books and make the process of revising easier and faster and better every time I do it. This is making me a better writer. And honestly, it feels like it's making me a better person. The more I stick to something, the more that I push away the mental illness part of my life that I'm going through right now, the depression, the anxiety, the more I focus on the creating, the more I focus on Fulton Hills as a world, as a real tangible thing, the less important my problems become in a way. Yeah, they're very real.
Yeah, that isn't. I just want to say that is so important. Is that your emphasis on creation is life affirming, and it can be, and was for me too, a survival fucking thing.
Yeah, the depression, the anxiety, all of that's very real, and sometimes you sink into it, and sometimes you need a break from things. So as I've said in the past, not forcing yourself to write, allowing yourself to take that time off is important, because not all grief is going to go away. Everybody's like, oh, this will pass. And it's very nice that people care enough to want you to be in a better mood. But at the same time, not all grief passes. Not all grief will ever leave you. And focusing on a creative way to handle that is a healthy way to get that grief on the page and kind of say, fuck you, like, or to highlight the good parts of somebody who is gone. I have mentioned before that one of my friends died recently, and it was somebody who was very, very instrumental in my past, and I put him in the book the best way that I could, the most realistic way that I could, honoring his good and his bad. I didn't make it obvious to probably anyone who he was, but I am honoring his presence in my life in a way that will keep him alive in my mind forever. And I think focusing on the revision is making me a better person. It's making me a better writer. It's exciting me. It's building this world. It's giving me this way to put hints of everything that I love and everything that I want to change in my own life in each and every scene with every single character. It's building this mystery for myself and for future readers. It is giving me a purpose. This podcast has given me a purpose. And I posted this the other day on Twitter, and I'm going to say it again here today because this is important. This podcast is, every writer can be a writer alone and succeed. You can absolutely do that, but you don't have to. And as I wrote on Twitter, nobody has benefited from this more than me. I can say that for a fact. I can say that every single one of you listeners out there that has commented, that has come into the forums and talked to us or shared with us what they're creating or how they've gotten something out of this. Every single review left, every single like, every single message we've gotten or comment or just anything, recommendation on Facebook, that has meant more than you guys could possibly know, because without you guys, I don't know if this podcast would still be a thing. Without the listeners that are a big part of keeping us here, keeping us motivated. We want to be able to help you guys. Without knowing that we are helping people, what would even be the point?
Right.
So that has given me a strong purpose, and it's also given me a strong bit of consistency that I needed in a time where I was falling apart. And the revision is doing the same thing. It's giving me a structure to my days and goals, because I really want all of this to come out. I really want other people to read this world and to be excited by it and moved. So I'm getting a lot out of the revision already, and I know that it'll just keep going.
So with that, we move on to the next sheet. And this is, how will creating this virtue and succeeding at this action improve the lives of the people who matter most to you? And this is list every reason you can imagine. Now, mine was, this was a little shorter for me because I can group my people who matter to me into 3 groups. My family, the more I create and the better I do it, the less stress there is in all our lives and the better we live. My readers, if I tell stories that are meaningful and fun for my readers, I can bring joy, excitement, and even different ways of looking at tough places in their own lives to them. And I do include a lot of the shit that I have gone through in my own life in the stories that I write, well disguised, but I have a lot of stuff in there with characters dealing with stuff like the stuff that I dealt with, and me kind of showing how I used it and sometimes finding my own solutions in writing the damn stories, so that I figured out how to fix my own problem by writing the story and having another character do it first. So there's a lot of stuff going on in that fiction, and sometimes I have received emails from writers who said, yeah, this really helped, or from readers who said, yeah, this really helped. And my third group of people who really matter to me are my writing students, and I can keep myself sharp and my skills current by walking the walk and making damn sure that what I teach I can prove. Can't make every process work for every writer, but if I can show how and why it works for me, my students can figure out how to adapt the techniques and processes to fit their own needs.
Nice. Yeah. For me, how will revising the novel and succeeding improve the lives of the people who matter most to me? So I'm going to take it as the revision and the publication of because I've got so many that I can pick and choose from.
Yeah.
Well, it gives me a purpose in life, and when I have purpose, especially going through the infertility thing and going through this kind of quarter life crisis, I guess. I mean, I hope it's a quarter. Well, that's a little bit because I'll die at 120. So let's just say a third, because that would be over 100. That'd be great. If I am going through this third life, this 1/3 of a life of crisis, giving myself this purpose also makes Tony happier, because my husband doesn't have to suffer watching me suffer, which I know he does, and he can't do anything about it. He's doing what he can, but sometimes that doesn't fix a problem. So
Right.
having me revising and feeling more confident and feeling so fucking excited about the things that I'm creating and putting into the book through the revision, that's going to make his life better because I'm happy.
Yeah.
And as far as with you, if I'm revising, you get to hear about all of this cool shit that I'm doing with the book and how your stuff is working to fix what I'm doing, and how I'm taking the course that you made and I'm pulling all of this neat shit out of it, and you get to be a huge part of what I'm creating, which is a good thing for you.
That brings me joy.
Yeah.
It does. I love that.
Yeah.
I love your success.
I know that you love being a part of my work, so it makes you happy. And then the publication, I could make other people happy with what I'm writing. Just that idea that somebody could open this book and read it and be excited or be scared or be, like entranced by something, magical or cryptid-like, or, looking at everything that I'm writing, the fact that somebody could be like, yeah, man, I want to see more of this world. I'm bringing joy to their lives.
Right.
My people, whoever they are out there, I'm coming for you. Just give me a shot.
Exactly.
Read my stuff, and I hope that you love it. And if you're somebody who wants to read this world, I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you read it and you're sucked into the world and it brings you joy. That's the idea of me bringing other people joy also brings me joy. It's like,
Right. Well, it was part of the payback you got back when you were writing fan fiction.
Yeah.
Was that people loved your shit.
Yeah, people when they were reading that stuff, that was the stuff they wanted to read. They wanted to see these characters get together, go through struggle, get together, be together, love each other, have this life. And some of them wanted to see the more adult themed erotic kind of raunchy stuff, and they got it, and they got joy, and they would write, like I was writing one where I was doing a scene a day. They were short scenes, it was adventure, and they would come in every day and they would read, and they're like, I can't wait for the next part, knowing that there are people out there that get that kind of joy from reading my book would be amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely put Tony and you first, because I know that publication would make you feel better for me as well.
Yeah.
And I know Tony would be excited for me that I've got something out there that people can read that is under my name, because
Right.
that's what he really wants for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you really focus on this part, really focus on how this virtue, as Holly puts it, brings joy to people that you love, that also will start to bring joy to you as you list it all out. It makes you feel
Yes.
better.
Yes, and it allows you to see exactly why this is an actual virtue. Because sometimes it's a little fuzzy at first. It's a little hard to see. Well, how can my writing fiction be a virtue? But as you see how it affects your life, as you see how it affects the lives of people who matter to you, then the virtue part of it becomes very, very clear. Okay. And that is the end of the virtue part of it, because now we're going on to the next part.
Okay.
Okay, so now, having gone through your virtues, you are going to stare into your desired future and see yourself working towards your objective. What does this virtue look like in your everyday life? Show each small, achievable action you're taking in best guess order. Print extra pages if necessary.
I want to use a real life example for this real quick before we get into next year.
Go for it.
I had spent years and years drawing and wanting to be better. I would draw and doodle and just, have fun. I picked up The Creative License by Danny Gregory, a book that I suggest to anybody who cannot even draw the, quote, stick figure. I can't even draw a straight line. Who gives a shit? You don't need very many straight lines. So pick up Creative License by Danny Gregory. Again, this is not sponsored or anything like that. It's just something that I've sent out 5 or 6 of these copies of these books to people. It's that important, because perfection is not the goal. But I would get in these moods and draw and then not, and I never put it in my head the same way with writing, is that you don't have to be in a mood. You have to show up. And one of my favorite fucking quotes by Picasso is that inspiration has to find you working. Never occurred to me that hey, art is the same thing. So I remember one night I was laying there trying to go to bed, and I had this repeated thing that I would tell myself, well, not tell myself, but show myself, that would help me relax and go to sleep. And it was me in this forever home that I still want to have with Tony, that I want to build. And I have this huge studio, and I would, after I'd get my words, I would go paint. I would go do things. And I finally told myself one day, I was like, okay, well, when is this going to happen? You have to start sometime. When are you going to become this great artist? You're not doing anything. So I think it was at the end of 2016 that I told myself this. I'm pretty sure that 2017 was the year that I devoted to drawing. And I took myself from a standard, okay artist that people like some of the stuff that I was doing, all the way at the end of 2018, I had some really, really good, Like, I can look at it and say it's very good work done. I have work in pencil that is pretty much professional grade. I've done portraits for people, pet portraits, human portraits, and they look realistic. And that was one of the goals that I had. And I've done paintings that I absolutely love. I've done funny, stupid paintings. When I could still drink, I would do these tipsy Fridays or tipsy painting days on our art group. And people would throw things at me like, oh, I want to see a UFO. Oh, I want to see, it needs to pick up a cow. So I would do this kind of Bob Ross video where I was watching Bob Ross and I was painting his thing, but then people would throw this extra shit at me. So I'd add the UFO lifting a cow. I mean, I really opened myself up. And that was part of what Mom is talking about here, is seeing yourself doing certain things, but then the thing I wasn't doing was taking action on it. And 2017 changed that for me. And I cannot even express the level of skill I earned by taking action on those things where I was envisioning what the perfect life for me would be.
Yeah.
So this is so important, guys.
This is a huge step. This is pretty much, this is the ball game right here. So what I have is I am doing, and then there's a blank line, and there's just this list of things with I am doing, and this is what you see. Turn on computer, bring up current manuscript first. Doing fiction first each day. That's my first one. Set a 10-minute timer. Find endpoint from previous day, which I always mark with an HHH so I can just search it and go straight to it. Identify current day starting point. I am doing. Working in 10-minute runs, write new words or revise existing words for a minimum of 6 runs. That's an hour. I am doing. Save work, move on to rest of day's work. So those are very specific, action-oriented, one step at a time processes that will get you from this thing in your head to this thing in your life.
Okay, so for mine, if I was to cover the revision, what I'm doing is seeing Tony off to work and sitting down at my desk. I typically clear the emails, help desk, forum check, planner. So I put all my to-dos, and I love having that done first because that gives me this huge window of the rest of the day. And it also allows me to add in like points where I stop and I take a 10-minute break. So when I'm revising, I actually don't use the 10-minute timer as much. Unless I'm working with Holly, then she uses the 10-minute timer and I go with her. I use a 50-minute timer. So I set, or a 30-minute, depending on how scattered my brain is and how much I have to do that day. So I'll go with the 30 minutes. Let's say I have a lot of shit that I want to get accomplished around the house. So what I do is I set a 30-minute timer and I get as much done on that lesson as possible. So I would say I am doing a specific lesson. And when the timer goes off, I am taking 10 minutes to try to hit 1 or 2 or a part of one of those cleaning things. So I'm up, I'm physically moving, I am doing a chore. I am listening for the timer. When the timer goes off, I set the timer for 30 minutes, I sit down, and I am doing the revision again. So it's like I just keep doing this until I hit a certain number of hours or until I can finish the lesson, which is obviously the preference. With the 1Bs, it would be something like I am trying to get through a 10th of the manuscript today or something like that.
Right.
And then it would end the same way as I am closing up this lesson. I am scanning the revision because I'm sharing it with the people in the How to Revise Your Novel. You get to see all of that, so I got to scan it. I am uploading to Dropbox for Holly. I am downloading the next day's lesson. And depending on how much time I have left, I might read the lesson, I might start the lesson, but most likely I am putting that aside for the next day, printing out whatever worksheet I need, and setting up the revision binder for the next day and pushing it aside.
Nice.
And then probably I'm going to go read or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to, because you told a really good story about your art. I'm going to go back to how I actually became a writer. I had a workable plan for how to do it because I had been reading Writer's Digest, I had been reading Lawrence Block, I had found Telling Lies for Fun and Profit, and I had seen what he was doing. And there was I had this revelation that I was never going to be a writer who could write full-time with my kids until I wrote the damn book. And it finally fucking clicked. So I sat down and I figured out how many words I would need in a novel. I then did math and figured out how many days I was giving myself to write the book. I then figured out how many words I had to do per day, figuring that I would need weekends, figuring that I was not going to be able to get a lot of words done in a day because I had one child and was very pregnant with the next child, and was going to have two in diapers at the same time while I was doing this. So I was starting the game on hard mode.
I thought you actually had both of us at that point.
No.
If you were 22 when I was born, 24.
I was 24.
So, yeah, we were both in diapers.
You're right. Okay. So, yeah, I had two in diapers.
Yeah.
At that point, I was just creating this very small set of goals that I was going to achieve. And I had already figured out, I had also read Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird, and the only thing I found in that book that I could use was that she wrote to a 10-minute timer. She does not work the way I do, but it was a good book. And the 10-minute timer thing stuck with me for the rest of my career. And I started that, I stayed with that, and I was just grabbing 10 minutes when the kids were taking naps, and I was doing the word count, and it was just a little word count, but I was doing it, and I kind of fell behind. So we went on vacation to the beach, and while they slept and while they were out with their grandparents or while they were out with their dad, I just wrote, and I was writing 12 pages a day at that point to hit the deadline because I had gotten way behind, and it was getting really close to my birthday. And I did it. I finished the book. It sucked. It was a god-awful book, but I did it. And I did it with small goals, followed up consistently, and did that last little push at the end to finish it so that I actually kept it. So that's what this is.
Yeah, so folks, if you have wanted to do a 10-minute timer challenge and you want, I'll link the forum in the show notes. You will have to have an account. Again, it's free. You get a bunch of free cool stuff, but to get to the forum and post, you would have to, have an account there. I will link it in there, and you just join in. If you want to set where you do 10-minute timers 3 days a week, maybe that's where you start and you grow from there. Don't think you have to be like some of our folks that are in there right now and hit every single day, 10 minutes every single day. Because then if you fall and you don't have one, then you're going to feel let down, and it's going to be easier to skip the next day, and then just forget about the whole thing entirely. So just start small at, I'm going to do a 10-minute timer on my days off or on my ride home. If you take the Amtrak or something like that, find a place where in your life a 10-minute writing session will fit. Just start there.
Right. And be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, if you miss a day, if you're having a shit day and you miss it, okay. Shit happens.
There's tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody messes up. Everybody eats that, entire cake instead of just one piece or whatever it is. But just remember, the next day you can get back to what you were doing before.
Yes. Now, there is a second part to this workshop because this is a big workshop.
Yeah.
And is meant to last for the entire year. And but you're not meant to do all of these worksheets for the entire year on January 1st. This is kind of a rolling, build your progress as you go kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're listening to this in March, if you just found us in June, if you just found us in August, look at it as from August to December 31st, what can I achieve? And make it an achievable goal. Do the worksheet anyway, and just plan on starting in 2021 or 2022, whenever you're listening to this.
Yes, because this is something that we want to continue to support. That because this is a step-by-step helping our guys live the lives they want to live, which is the thing we most want to do.
Yeah.
Because we know how fun it is to write fiction. We love this shit. And if you can have that kind of love in your life and that kind of joy in your life, you win. Mm-hmm. That's why this is winning at writing.
Yeah.
Because if you love to write, then we want to help you do that.
Yeah, we want to help you make it a priority in your life, whatever level of priority you can make it.
Yeah.
So defining pride.
Yes. Okay. Pride. It is. I have to go through a couple of things here. I cannot be proud of being a brunette because I had nothing to do with that. My father's sperm hit my mother's egg, and the genes combined, and I was the haphazard and probably accidental result of that action. I cannot, there is no portion of my physical makeup or anything that I can be proud of because I didn't do it.
Yeah, you can love the past, or you can love your hair color, or yeah, I get that. Yeah. But it's not something you did. So
okay, now I'm going to take something here that I am proud of. And it's a weird something, and I don't know if I have talked about this on the podcast before, but when I was 14 years old, I lived in Costa Rica.
Yeah, you talked about this.
Okay. My parents were missionaries. They were learning Spanish, and I was attacked. I was going to the Instituto de Lengua Española, which was the Spanish language institute that taught Americans and other foreigners how to speak Spanish. And I was 14 years old, and they had made an exception to let me be in that class. I was alone at the bus stop after school that day, and it was me and adults, and I was alone at the bus stop, and some guy ran up behind me and grabbed me, and started rubbing himself up against me and fondling me, and doing some things that just absolutely, I for a moment I was just stunned, because I was 14. I had never had anything like this happen, and the instant after I was stunned, I lost my shit. I took my umbrella. I slammed my head into his face. I stomped on the arch of his foot. I think I might have hit him with an elbow. I was making this crazy growling noise, and I turned and I attacked him with my umbrella, and he fled, and I ran after him. So I was, at the time, 14. I weighed 90 pounds. I was not in any way, shape, or form imposing, but I made an adult male run away. And that was taking action. So, and that was me. That was just me and who I am. And so what you are looking for, I can be proud of that.
Yeah.
I can be proud of that. I got mean and mad and crazy. And that worked out for me. What you can be proud of the things you do, even if they are not traditional things you do. Like that was certainly not a traditional thing. You get to be proud of that because that came out of you. That is your action, your motive, your meaning, some portion of your life that you controlled. And that's what we're going to work on now, which is with writing, what you are going to look at the things you can be proud of, and you are going to set specific pride goals that are based on your loves, passions, desires, and then actions. And my demonstration for this, you just ask yourself, what if I did this thing? Okay, this is project into the future. And mine is, what if I complete the revision of Dead Man's Party? How can I be proud of this action? Okay, the question, what if I? How will I do that? A minimum of 5 hours a week of revision until it's done. If 4 days a week, then Monday through Thursday, I'll be doing 8 10-minute timers on Monday and 8 10-minute timers on Tuesday and 7 10-minute timers on Wednesday and Thursday. And the reason I have that broken up that way is because right now Becky and I are doing the podcast on Fridays.
Yes.
So I'm not writing on Friday. So I basically have 4 writing days a week. I am trying to maintain my equanimity and my ability to get a lot of shit done on the weekdays by taking weekends off. I might have to modify that, but we'll see. If I were writing 5 days per week, then I would be doing 6 10-minute timers a day for 5 days. And if I do that, then I complete the revision. If I complete the revision, then what will that do for me? It will put into I will then, you're progressing through this step by step. If I complete the revision, then I will put it in Matt's hands for an edit and will then fix plot and character and other issues that he finds. And I have a date on there on that worksheet where I will write in the day that I hand the revision over to him. Not the date that he does the edit. The date I hand him the revision. That's the date for succeeding at that.
So you're saying you don't have that pre-planned. You have that spot ready for when you hand it over, and then you'll fill it in.
Right, exactly. I will, my next step, put the edited version in the hands of beta readers who will locate typos, formatting errors, and other pre-pub issues. And I have a date for that. The date that I contact my bug hunters and say, okay, I've got the completed edited version, the part where Matt has already done his thing, and I have then fixed everything he found. And then I hand off the final version, as far as final as I can get it, to my bug hunters, and then they find things. And then I put the date that it goes out to them, not the date I get it back. After I get it back, which is its own thing, I will create and test cover art, cover copy, titles, sales blurbs, and promotional emails, keywords, all of the stuff that Amazon needs, etc. After I get the bug hunt back and after I fix the bugs. Then that's the next step from that. And there is a date for the day that I complete all of those things. All of the testing, all of the cover testing, all of the font testing, all of the blurb testing. And then my final thing for this project is I will publish the final book with the best cover, copy and title, best blurbs, best emails, and then I will move on to the next book. And I have the date for that. And on the day that I move on to the next book is the day that I get to mark that goal finished.
Very awesome.
And those are all things, all actions I take that I can be proud of, and I can mark a date on there that I have completed this. I am proud of this because I did this thing.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to not go through one of mine. I'm going to set it as if I was somebody who hasn't done stuff yet. So
okay,
maybe you've been dabbling at stuff. Let's say you want to take the How to Write Flash Fiction That Doesn't Suck course. So you're looking at, you want to, by the end of the year, have a series of, let's say you do the entire thing, you have 11 flash fiction stories, and your goal is to have them published. That's the goal you set for yourself for this year. So what if I want to take this course? So you're going to set it up for, well, that's a 3-week course. So you want to, and of course you don't have to do it in 3 weeks. That's the cool thing, is that it's self-paced.
Right. No, it's there permanently, and you can take as long as you need.
Yeah. But let's just say you have the first month, I'm going to finish this course. So that is something you would write down. So walk me through this. So
okay. So what are the steps
To getting
your
that
how?
book published?
No, just not okay, well, yeah.
That's the goal, is to have the 11 by the end of the year, to have 11 flash fiction stories for one ebook that you want to
Right.
publish.
Okay. So then how are you going to do that?
I'm going to take the How to Write Flash Fiction That Doesn't Suck course.
If you take the course, then what are your I wills
Okay.
for that?
I will try to make sure that I have 2 10-minute timers twice a week to go through the lessons. And there's 3 weeks. So I'm going to say it takes me about a month to get through the 3 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. It takes me, because remember, I'm only doing 40 minutes a week because that's all I have.
Right.
But I'm going to go through each lesson, and we'll say it takes a month and a half to get through, 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I've gotten the very, very rough first draft of each
Okay, that's
story
the
done.
second. Okay. That
Oh,
is
yeah,
gonna
that's
be-
the next part. Okay.
That's your next one. If I go through and stick with the lessons, then I will.
If I do that, then I will have rough draft versions of each of the 11 stories done. And then
Right.
I'll put in the
Okay.
date that I finish. Yeah. okay.
Exactly. All right. So after you have the first drafts of your 11 stories done, what's your next I will?
I will go back through and revise for typos, revise to make sure that the characters all seem the same or consistent, that nobody's hair goes from bright pink to bright blue. I will revise for the word counts, make sure that I hit that 500 word count. If I have ones that are less, I'm going to see if I can use those extra words, see if I can add a little bit more.
And a really good point on that, since we're on the flash fiction course, is that you don't have to buy the full-length How to Revise Your Novel course. I have a free, tiny
Yes.
revision workshop on my website, on my hollylyle.com website. And we can put the link into
Yeah.
the show for you for that.
Yeah,
Because
it's a part of her. I think it's one of your articles in your
Yeah.
personal website, which is hollylyle.com. But yeah, there's a free revision breakdown for you. So I'm gonna say that's gonna be my next. If I finish the stories, I will take that free revision bit and pieces and learn how to revise these very basic stories. And then once I'm done revising all of them, that I will write in the date for that.
Right. And then your fourth thing,
Yeah, my next thing would be
your next I will.
I am going to post on the forums to find myself a couple of beta readers, some people who will read my work, and I will exchange with them. I'll read some of their work, because that also helps me learn how to write fiction by finding other people's mistakes. And another thing I can link, Schrodinger's Pet Shop Writers Group. It gives you the rules, so I can link that in there. So I will follow the rules of that and exchange beta reads with other people. And once I'm done betaing their work and they're done with mine, I guess that gives me another date to put down as I've received the feedback.
Right.
So the next thing, the next I will would be I will revise to feedback.
Mm-hmm. And you can print off as many of these worksheets as you need, by the way, because we have just run out of the first worksheet.
Oh yeah. I'm going. This one's going to be pretty long. So and again, you don't have to print it if you have ink issues like me. Ink is very expensive. Paper can be expensive depending on your budget. So then you just write in a notebook, because this is just as good. So then the future I wills, I'll just go through them real quick, is I will revise for the feedback that I got. I will create a nice free cover. You create a blurb. You write down the day that you got your cover. You write down the day that you got your blurb done, and then you publish. And that would be the goal for the end of the year. And you write down the date that you put it on Amazon, that it got published, and then you've achieved that goal. And hopefully you'll make some money on it.
Right. Right. And that is what I have done for myself. Is from there, I set up 3 more Pride sheets. but these are just starter sheets, because until I finish, my Pride date set is 1/1/2020 for the goals that I read. And up at the very top, there is a date achieved for all of the goals on that sheet. Once I finish those, and it's going to take me a while to do that because that's all the way through to publication, my next goal is, what if I complete the revision of the Wishbone Conspiracy? And then after that one, it is, what if I complete the revision of the Ohio novel? Because I wrote 3 novels last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one is, what if I complete the first draft of The Emerald Sun, which is the last book of Moon and Sun, and I have already started it. I've got the outline done. I have the first chapter written, but I hit the point where I didn't want to write a 4th novel without revising any of the first 3. I need to finish and publish some books before I write yet another book.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, and did you have one more of those?
No, that was it. That was
Okay, cool.
because that was 4 whole Pride things, and there are no dates that go on any of the later sheets until you have finished all of the things on the first sheet.
Yeah. So let's say that that's your goal for the year is the flash fiction, how to get, and you want to get an ebook up with 11 stories. And let's say everything goes faster. Let's plan for that. So let's say it's not going to happen by December like you thought, but maybe it's going to happen by March. Who knows? Maybe you're really kicking ass and you're able to spend some more time at it. Have some other goals in mind. It's like, okay, well, what if I finish a second book of flash fiction? What if I get a set of 5 short stories written? You know, whatever it is that you want, that kind of plan for what you would want to do next. So for me, for instance, let's look at my to-do list when it comes to the writing. If I can find it, give me a second. Oh, there it is. Okay, so what if I get The House on Andrews Avenue published? Let's just say that's the big thing right there. Or
and let's say that happens kind of early.
Yeah, say it happens kind of early. Well, what if I finish my first draft of book 2 in Fulton Hills Published Paranormal Society?
Right.
What if I get the revision done of the book 2? So that's putting a whole lot on one year. But
that
instead,
is putting a whole lot on one year. Yeah,
I could say
that's big stuff.
Yeah. I could say, what if I get my first set of flash fiction in the Fulton Hills world published? Then it would be the short stories. Then it would be the book 1 published. So that sort of thing. So wherever you are, maybe it's I get my first book revised. What if I get that book published? What if I outline the next book I want to write? So that sort of thing. Just build up from your next logical step, and then have those sheets ready just in case you're taking advantage of your time better than you realized you would.
Right, because you want to have a place to go. You want to have not just the little plan, but the stuff that follows after that, because if you are working towards success and following a workable process, you are going to succeed.
Yeah.
And you have to know where you want to go. You have to imagine not just the current success, but okay, well, what do I do after that? And have a place to go so that you don't lose your momentum, so that you can do it. Well, for me, my first book was called Hearts and Stitches, and it took me 7 years to revise it. It was a horrible romance novel, and it didn't really get all that much better. My second book was Fire in the Mist, and Fire in the Mist sold the first time out, the first place I sent it, and it did really well for me. But I knew after I finally pulled the plug on Hearts and Stitches, I knew that I wanted to write another book, and that's what I started. And I had the same process already built, because in spite of the fact that the book sucked, the way I wrote Hearts and Stitches was to have a word count set to write to a 10-minute timer to get stuff done. And that part worked.
Yeah.
So you do that.
Yeah. Find the method that works for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a forum thread for this within the Alone in a Room with Invisible People. And you might want to also put in your, if you use a planner, if you use a Bujo, if you have the monthly, weekly, daily thing, put in there to once a week, come in there and update your status. If you're more like to do once a month, you can do that. But I think once a week would keep the focus a little bit better. So make it every Monday, every Friday, whatever day that you think that you would be most likely to come in there and update.
So what we're going to do in the forums is we are going to have a weekly post. Now, you do not have to come in every week. If your things are set, if you have set up your goals on a monthly basis, that's fine. If you have set them up on a daily basis, that's fine. But once a week, I'm going to put up a post that is specifically for that week. And no matter how you're doing it, if you want to come in on that, just come in on that week and post for your monthly goals or post for your daily goals. How many of your daily goals did you hit? Or however you want to do this. It's just, we will have over at the end of the year, 52 posts collected into a little thing at the top bar. And you will be able to go through and kind of see not just what you've done, but what other people have done too. And it's really inspirational.
Yeah.
To go through and see people doing their wrap up at the end of the year. Well, okay, because at the end of the year, we're going to do a summary post. What did you accomplish at the end of the year? And you're going to have these worksheets that you've done, and you are going to be able to go through at the end of the year and specifically look at the stuff you did, because you can't do much of anything in a day, but if you do things in a day every day, you will have done a hell of a lot of stuff by the end of the year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at you. Last year you completed 3 novels.
Yes. Yeah, and that was, and the real kicker for me was realizing that I had written an entire novel in 1 hour a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that was life altering for you.
And that thing is on video.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get to the takeaway, I just wanted to remind you guys, you can follow us on the socials. That's at AIARWIP on Twitter, Alone in a Room with Invisible People on Facebook, Alone with Invisible People on Instagram. You can find our website at alonewithinvisiblepeople.com. There are a lot of different ways that you can support the podcast. Go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com/support us to find out more. There's a coffee account, it's ko-fi.com/alone, where you can support us monthly. There's PayPal drop down on the top right of the website where you can support us, at $5, $10, and $15 increments. And that's just a one-time thing or whenever you want. But share the podcast, share it with your, any social media that you can find. Use the hashtag AirWhip, which is hashtag AIARWIP. I've been told I have overwhelmingly mentioned the Redbubble shop, so I will mention we do have a Redbubble shop. It's under AirWhip. That's again AIARWIP. We've got tote bags, we've got notebooks, we've got coffee cups. I posted, and Mom posted her Christmas present this year, which was the coffee cup and the AirWhip notebook, and everybody started saying wait, what? You guys have merchandise? So I am sorry. Yes, we have stuff like that. We don't make a whole lot of money off of it. I just want to let you guys know the prices are pretty much set just to cover the manufacturing from Redbubble's end, but we do make a couple of dollars on certain things, on the stuff that you buy. So if you buy it, you are supporting us, but it's really cool. Also, share your coffee mug if you bought one. Share your, phone case if you bought one of those, and share it on social media and tag us or use the hashtag AirWhip so that we can also say, hey, look, this is really cool. And also see that you bought our merch, because that's exciting. So somebody bought a sticker and a coffee mug the other day, and I was like, ooh, Oh, I wish I had told them to tag us.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, there's lots of different ways to support us, and not all of it is money. Share with your writer friends, share the podcast, share your writing, and another way to support us is just come in the forums and talk to us. Holly, what is the takeaway for this week?
We have made a deal out of saying you can do this, but I spent years of my life dreaming about doing this, and the only thing that really kicked me in the ass was having a moment when I realized that in order to do it, I was going to have to write the damn book. And dreaming doesn't get you anywhere. It will eat pieces of your life. So while dreaming will not make your dream come true, taking small steps and achievable goals and using small but consistent effort over an extended period of time will create the wonderful reality that wishing and dreaming won't. And honest to God, you can do this. And this year, we are going to be there to stand beside you and help you stick with it and help you reach those dreams.
Absolutely. 100%. We are going to be there. We're going to show you that we walk the walk. We don't just talk the talk. We're going to show you our weekly achievements, and we're going to be there for you. This is like the coolest thing, because I just wanted another like goal setting kind of how we can do this, and like little worksheets and stuff, and maybe a planner sheet, which I will share what I create to keep track of stuff. I'll share that with folks if they want like a little planner version, or if you've got a Bujo and you do your own layouts, share yours. But the point that the thing that Holly created was so much bigger, and it's so much more it's so much more supportive than I realized that we could create. And this is a way that we can show you that, yeah, you can do it. Just remember, the most important thing is that you're setting a goal that is achievable, and it's based on something that you love and really want to do. And
if you have doubts, bring your goals in.
Yeah.
And ask. And we have set goals that worked, and we have set goals that didn't.
Yeah, that were just too big and too vague. And
yeah,
ask people, like, does this seem like an achievable goal? Could I break it down further? And everybody that's going to be a part of this can help each other in finding, okay, well, this, you could break it down to this. So, yeah, that has been our podcast. That hopefully, go to the website, download the free download. And if you're like me and don't have the ability to print all of this out, or want to put it in your Bujo instead of, having it on these big 8x10 pieces of paper, do that. Find a way to go through the worksheet and create for yourself these goals. And I just want to say we love you guys. We're excited to see what 2020 brings to the podcast, but also to see what it brings for you.
And we are really looking forward to sharing it with you.
Yes.
So have a happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
And let's make this next one awesome.